I'm an original Rollin 60s gang member.
I'm Big Keithstone, Rollin 60s.
For the dime moves in the lokes, for the 6-4s on spokes, for the OGs that did a dime, came back around on parole, for the homegirls with the scrap game, little homies that gang bang, from Pelican Bay to YA, rearrange your mind frame. Yeah, I know what you been through, shit you had to go tend to. Your mama gave birth on the turf, I know them killers you kin to. This for the lost generation, broke as hell, man.
A lot of, lifting weights, and I was on swole, they start calling me Big Miz.
Original stutter box. Eastside 5, who's Pablo Bishop, Mill City Gangsta Bloods.
Kevmacvideos, you know this is for sure. Kevmacvideos, open your soul.
This is the
Get you with the questions first. Where were you born and raised at?
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. We moved out here, I was 12 years old when we moved out here to California.
And why did your family move out here?
My grandfather had died and my mother came out, and shortly after that, they came back. Well, we came out here for the funeral and we wound up staying.
And what was the reason why your family came out here?
My grandfather passed.
And when you guys came out here,
My grandfather was out here. He was living out here.
Where was he living at?
On the east side, 711 East 98th Street.
And that's where you guys landed when you all first came?
No.
Where'd you guys land at?
We landed on 10th Avenue.
10th Avenue and what?
10th Avenue and 68. That was 1968.
And what schools did you attend when you landed out here? The first schools?
The first school we attended, was Manchester Elementary.
How's that?
We came out here during the summer. My mother and father separated, and we moved on Menlo. We moved into a house on Menlo. My father still stayed on 10th Avenue.
And when you came out here, who did you come out here with?
Me, my brothers. It was me, Carlos, and Huey. Babyface and Baby Huey.
Those your only brothers?
Those are my only brothers. I have two cousins, Rodney, Big Rip, and Quentin, Big QT.
So your father lived on 10th Ave. What did he do to support the family? What was his profession?
He worked at General Motors. And in '72, he decided he wasn't going to work for anybody. He quit General Motors. He went to school at Trade Tech and took up accounting. Once he graduated, he quit General Motors and started his practice.
So when you guys landed on 10th Ave, describe the neighborhood for me. Compared to Missouri?
It was a very nice neighborhood. Whites, blacks. I don't remember any Asians, but it was whites that stayed in the area. And manicured lawns. I mean, it was a beautiful neighborhood.
So you wouldn't have considered 10th Avenue a ghetto in 1969?
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
When did you see the turning point on 10th Avenue?
Probably in the late 70s, early 80s.
So when you was there in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, was there a gang scene in the Crenshaw district at that time? Were you aware of the gangs?
Yes.
What gangs was up and running during that time?
West Side Crips, Bishops.
And those were the two gangs in the Crenshaw district?
Yeah. There was some BNGs and, scattered. Yeah. But we were the dominant ones.
So when you went to Crenshaw, I came across an article that they called Crenshaw back then, Fort Crenshaw. and I found some yearbook pictures on you. You were there like 72, 73, 74.
Right.
Why did they call Crenshaw Fort Crenshaw when you were going there? What was going on at Crenshaw?
BNGs was there. And we were there. We weren't that big then. It was a handful of us. We did everything in a group. Van Ness boys would come up there, we would fight, and they'd run, and security would come out. Yeah, everybody scattered.
So when you say we, are we talking about before the Rollin 60s form, or are we talking about?
No, this is after the Rollin 60s. Before, it was 5-6 syndicates that ran that school, basically.
So who was your crew at Crenshaw? Who was your running mates? Who were your?
I ran with them syndicates because at that time, by me being the oldest, it wasn't too many Crips up there, but the syndicates, 5-6 syndicates, and James Looney, Eddie Robinson, Bull. Those are the ones I ran with, mainly Looney.
So you didn't run with the Maurice Ducketts and the Carl Ducketts and the Bad Newses and all that?
Bad News. They didn't mess with Mark. Mark had a reputation that followed him. Mark was down in the arts. Ducky played basketball. Maurice, pretty sure was. Carl wasn't there yet. That was my first year. Now that second year, in '73, when Carlos, Duckett, Fred, Kyle, that whole crew hit Crenshaw, and that's when we literally took that school.
So look, earlier you mentioned that the Crenshaw district had West Side Crips and Bishops. Who were the Bishops?
We were.
Who's we?
Me. It was Babyface, Baby Huey, cat named Iceberg. It was Squally. Not Sharif, rest in peace. Rip. Raymond Lyons.
You say Squally, you talking about Squally Davis?
No. His name was Carl Fritz. He stayed right next door to Mad.
What?
Madden.
You gotta explain to me about those Bishop Crips.
Yeah.
What made you guys want to be bishops in the first place?
Lucky. He moved to that neighborhood. He stayed on 8th Avenue.
8th Avenue what?
8th Avenue, High Park.
And what made you guys gravitate towards Lucky?
Lucky was cool. And we just, I don't know.
We had some guys coming over from the east side. Bobby, Jimmy, Space Ghost. These guys were coming over from the east side because when their homeboys had moved on the west side, named Lucky, had moved over to the west side, and he had actually become part of us at the same time, being part of them. And they were east side, they were known as east side bishops. But the problem was going on, so a lot of us kind of gyrated to the guys who were coming over from the east side, the bishop, Jimmy, Bobby, and Space Ghost. So eventually what happened was, before we started the west side bishops. Now that didn't last very long.
We were searching for an identity.
Your brothers always tell me y'all got duped.
Did Lucky go to Crenshaw with you guys?
Yeah.
He did.
Well, we thought we, because we came at him, well, we can be Bishop Crips.
And what was Lucky's response?
Yeah. Okay. That didn't work out though, man. We went to a meeting on the east side. Cause we was running around in the neighborhood, writing on the walls, Bishop Crips, spray paint, Bishop Crips.
You know who I forgot who you fucked with y'all too? Lafayette and Kenny on
Oh
Third
Kenny Stratton there.
Yeah, Kenny Stratton on Third Ave, around the corner from me.
Come on.
Mark Boulder.
Troy Hicks.
Yeah, Troy Hicks.
Troy Hicks.
So you guys were actually mingling and going to the east side.
We would go over there for meetings. When they called us over there for a meeting. But they would come to the west side. They would come to the west side and hang out. But mainly we did our own thing because we hung out with the Crips that was there.
So look, what year were you guys bishops?
We was bishops in 71, 72.
Though it may have been short-lived, if true at all, according to a 1973 newspaper article, a member of the Brims was cited as saying the Brims, the Van Brims, and the Westside Bishops had joined together to commit robberies.
I remember because me and Mark was at Horseman.
My last year, Horseman, 1972.
We had cadets, and I joined the cadets to get a pair of khakis. Get my dad to buy a pair of khakis. Boy, you bought me a khaki suit.
Why'd you have to do all that to convince Pops to get you a khaki
Because
suit?
he didn't want me wearing khakis. I wore Florshams and slacks back then.
So khakis was already considered the gang attire back then?
Khakis and croaker sacks. Khakis and croaker sacks.
So you guys were bishops from 71 to 72.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even a year.
It wasn't even a year?
No, it wasn't even a year.
I left Horseman and went on to Crenshaw High School. Started my first year at Crenshaw. It was like 1972, 1973. Now, at this point in time in the neighborhood in which I was born and raised in, it's known as the 60s, it was a neighborhood that was fragmented with different gangs. And what I mean by that is this here. It wasn't one particular gang in that neighborhood at that point in time. But you had some guys who were Crips, Westside Crips. And at that point in time, those of us, we started having conflicts among ourselves. Just a couple of guys having conflict with this group. And then we had the Crips having conflicts with us. Also, we had the Van Ness boys who were only located on the other side of Slauson. Now, most of us who were born in the 60s, we were born and raised and went to Van Ness Park from little kids on up until junior high school. Most of us on the other side of Slauson never became Van Ness boys, although we were good friends with them, hung out with them while we were in the park. We got along well with them. But what started happening in high school, or late junior high school, we started having conflicts with them. I cannot say specifically why we started having conflicts with them, but we started having conflicts with them. We were having conflict with some of the some of the Crips in the neighborhood. And also there was a gang known as the Chime gang, who were older, but we started having conflicts with them because we weren't part of them.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even a year.
It wasn't even a year?
No, it wasn't even a year.
So
when they found out we was claiming Crips on the end of that, we went to a meeting, and they tried to rush us.
The Eastside Bishops?
Yeah, the Eastside Bishops.
What you mean they tried? Either they did or they didn't?
We ran. I ran. We ran.
And that was the end of the Bishops on the west side?
The end of the Bishops on the west side.
But what about Lucky? Lucky's still in the turf though.
No, but Lucky moved. After that, Lucky moved.
Whatever happened to Lucky?
You know what? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it.
So back to the Crenshaw days. I came across an article you guys probably don't know about, and it basically talks about Fort Crenshaw and the gangs at Crenshaw. And it was basically the Bishops and the Brims together. The Bishops with Brims and Van Ness Brims against the Crips at that time. Is that something that you remember?
No.
Were you guys ever allies with the Van Ness boys?
No.
As bishops?
No.
Were you guys ever allies with the Brims?
No. Okay. We knew them. We were never allies with them.
All right. So when you guys canceled being bishops in '72, what took place after that?
We became underground. We became underground Crips. We became West Side Crips. Then we became underground Crips, and just searching for an identity.
When you say we, you talking about the same circle? So let me ask you this, back to when you said the Crenshaw district during that time only had West Side Crips and Bishops. Who were these West Side Crips in the Crenshaw district? Do you know them by name? And where were they located at?
The West Side Crips over there were well, we talked basically Perry. Let me correct that. Perry was claiming Crip.
Perry was West Side Crip. That was Sneaky T from West Side Crip.
Perry, Squally, Loopy.
They was kind of like the godfathers of the hood.
They were older than us.
Yeah, for us, like Raven Potts and them, they was like 6'5". them was kind of like the hitters, but they weren't really from 60s though. They was West Side Crips, 6'5".
I'm trying to stay on a timeline,
Okay,
so I'm
okay.
gonna get all into
Okay.
that. I'm just trying to lay the foundation on that first. When you mention Squally again, you know there's two Squallies in the
Yeah.
60s, so kind of distinguish them so we know who you're talking about. So when you mention West Side
When I say
Crips,
Squally, I mean Cherie Davis. Rest
Okay.
in peace.
are you familiar with Squally Davidson?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You resting in peace.
Okay, and he was one of those original West Side Crips.
I remember Carlos and Squally had a fight on that.
Over what?
Squally called him a punk.
And at that time, what was Squally and what was Face claiming?
Face was claiming we was trying to start the 60s. Like that.
But what eventually happened was the leaders and the bishops faded away. The Crips stayed in the neighborhood. But what happened was those individuals who were Crips and those individuals who were West Side bishops and part of the leaders all came together under one umbrella. And that umbrella became the Rollin 60 Crips.
What made you guys hang out on Arlington? What was going on at Arlington that made you guys gravitate over there? Because you're off of 10th Avenue. So what made you guys go on Arlington?
Big Rick.
That's it. That's
Big
it.
Rick.
Big Rick.
Was Big Rick a part of your guys' original Bishop crew, or he was separate from that?
No, he wasn't part of that.
So
Face went to camp and met Rick. Face met Big Rick in camp. And when they got out, we started going over on Arlington.
See, I hear a story too. That Face tried to rob Rick. That's how they became close friends, because Face jumped out the bush and something with a pistol trying to rob Rick, but it didn't go down. They ended up, that's something Rick got to take. That's the story he tells. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
It could happen. I mean, you know.
Because I remember, because
But I know they met in camp.
yeah, ain't no
We met
question.
Mouse in camp.
Yeah, all of them.
We met all of them. All of them came
Yeah.
together in camp and found out we stayed in the same hood.
Yeah.
when you say Mouse, who you talking about?
Motor Mouse.
Oh, they all met in camp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about the White Castle.
What you mean, White Mountain?
White Mountain.
White Mountain.
White Mountain was the headquarters, man. That's where we used to post up, get hamburgers, hang out, because it had like the little section that's kind of inside with benches. So we used to go in there, shoot dice, have meetings and stuff like that. And it was on Florence, so we could see all the activities going down Florence. You could watch out for the Inglewood family, see if they come across Fifth Ave, coming down that way. You know what I mean? It was just, and they had good food.
Well,
Yeah.
let me. I'm gonna focus on you real quick, Stone. I want to get you up to speed, so when we get into the whole Rollin 60s conversation, you guys are on the same page. Because right now we're kind of like in that phase where he's leaving the bishops and they don't know who they want to be yet. And what's your family's origins? Where do you guys come from?
Texas.
And what year and what made your family migrate to California?
My mom's came out here. I don't know what year. She came out here probably in the 40s, 50s. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I was born at General Hospital in 1960, right? But I joke with everybody. See, out of my brothers, I got kicked out the house when I was 6 weeks old. Because when I was 6 weeks old, I was on a train going back to Texas. So I stayed in Texas forever. My brother and them grew up on 2nd Ave. And you know what I mean? I came back, when I came back, it was 70, the summer of 1970. I spent that summer, 70, 71, right? So about 70, 71, 69. But then the following year when I came back to state, then that's when they was like, man, you going to Horace, man, there's a gang called the Crips and da-da-da. So they had all the scary stories. But you know, my brother knew everybody, them Rick, them, you know what I mean? I was just the guy from Texas, right? Mark Bolden, them stayed down the street. It was just a different kind of atmosphere for me.
What year did your family land on 2nd Avenue?
1965, right after Ross Riot. They was just there on Avalon in like 100 and something. And then after the Watts riot, moms then moved on Second Ave, Pops and Mom. You know, they went from the Pueblos to the East Side to Second Avenue.
So, what elementary schools did you go to?
I didn't go to North California Elementary School. My first school was the 7th grade at Horace Mann. I went to a school in Texas until I hit here.
What year were you at Horace Mann?
I was at Horace Mann the year from 72 to 73. From 72 to 70, I graduated Horace Mann in 75.
So you was there from 72 to 75.
Yeah.
And
71, 72, 72, yeah, 72, 73, 73, 74, 74, 75. 75, 76.
You started at Crenshaw. Right. So when you was at Horace Mann, what was going on at Horace Mann in the early 70s?
Well, see, when I came out here, everybody knew my brother. They didn't know me. I had a Texas accent, right? So that's when Rusty, Keithstone, all them used to be at Crenshaw, Mo them. So, I'm really kind of like just navigating, right? So it was situations where I didn't know to get down, right? So a dude asked me to loan him a dime. So I loaned him a dime. I didn't know he was so-called jacking me, right? So then the next day, come loan me a dime. I'm looking to get a nigga a dime. So he came back again, said, loan me a dime. I said, man, you owe me 20 cents. He said, what you mean I owe you 20 cents? Like, man, I took that. You ain't take nothing from me. So now I'm scribbling, don't nobody know me. So then they tried to pack me out, a couple other dudes, Rip and Ray, they knew my brother, them. They were like, that's Alex's brother. You know what I mean? And then like Ray Payson and whatever. So once people knew who my brothers was and the people that from the neighborhood that I knew, then I had to get head up fights, and then they didn't want that. You know what I'm saying? So it was that kind of situation.
So were there gangs at Horace Mann in the early 70s?
Yeah, it was Crips. You had the baby Crips and you had the West Side Crips. Then you had the 90s. You had the Baker Boys with Snoop and was claiming that shit. But it was it was like basically West Side Crips and the baby Crips. That was the whole blanket of the West Side, pretty much.
Okay, so we up to speed now. So I'm gonna get both y'all back in here now. So now we're at a period where we're no longer bishops and we're trying to find our identity. What made you guys gravitate towards being Crips? Who pulled you guys into that? Who was your crew's?
Everybody over there was Crips.
Yeah,
Who was your Crip influence in the Crenshaw district that made you guys go that route?
Tookie had the influence over the pretty much the city.
But keeping it real, Raymond had came over there.
Yeah.
Raymond had came over into the hood. Raymond Washington. Rest in peace.
And he came to the hood for what? And to who?
He came over when we was hanging out at Rip's house over on Matt.
Oh, man, yeah.
And he came over there and, no. We was hanging out over there, but we was also hanging on 4th Avenue at the shack.
Yeah, at Google Shack on 4th Ave.
He seen how tight our little situation, how tight we were.
But you guys were, at that time, you guys didn't have a name for y'all group. So what made Raymond even function with you guys at that time?
But look, Trip. Like, this is how I see it, right? Like when all that was going on, the West Side Crips, you had Terry Man, like I say, he was the Godfather. They was West Side Crips, all that. But when the neighborhood Crips came to the West Side, because actually, from my remembrance, Tookie was like saying everybody was gonna be such Crips on the West Side. We young, faced them young, salute them, all that. We was like, I ain't saying this to be disrespectful, nothing. But we was like, we gotta have our own identity. You know what I'm saying? So, and then, the most common name was neighborhood Crips, right? So, they was already started up on the east side. But then we had to distinguish ourselves from all the other neighborhoods, because you had the undergrounds, you had the in-neighborhood families, you had neighborhood was just a common name at that time to be thrown in.
And we had up in the hundreds.
Yeah, up in the hundreds. We had already went through about I call it like a little phase with the West Side Avenues. You know what I'm saying?
So who who brought neighborhood to the Crenshaw district? Whose idea was that?
But see, but that's where it's get murky because.
Well, let's
like,
get murky.
But see, like I mean, it was a general name because that's why I was asking his brother because they brought it to me, right? They brought it to us, neighborhood, but that was kind of like just a blanket. It was just neighborhood Crips, West Side.
When you say they, you got to be specific, bro.
Well, I mean, you know, like Face them and Rick them, they brought it to us, Cal them. You know, it was just I don't know how neighborhood got over there, but all I know is this. After the Avenues little situation about 6 months with Sunshine ran, it was just a little experiment. We was West Side neighborhood.
Raymond Potts had some influence on us too.
Yeah, with the 6'5" neighborhoods.
Okay.
Right?
They was already neighborhoods.
So before you guys even thought about being neighborhoods, Raymond Potts was already a neighborhood.
He was 6'5". And he was another dude that was like a godfather in that area with Odie Shaw and them. They was 6'5", but still in all, to be distinguished on the 60s, we wasn't a part of that. You know what I'm saying? So we had to distinguish ourselves from that, and I'm not gonna let that get anywhere.
I'm gonna get into that. I want a timeline. I want to go back to Raymond Washington coming on Madden. Tell me more about that.
Raymond, this is after we were 60s now.
This is after you guys already turned 60.
Yeah,
okay.
we turned 60, and he's seen how close we was, how tight we was. We was a group. We functioned as a group real well. We kept this is a big mistake we had. We kept our arsenal in one spot.
They did, we did.
We did when we first started. Yeah.
That Google Shack.
And at the shack, anybody can come get one.
You guys had multiple shacks in the hood, right?
No.
But
At
Gunga
this time,
Gunga Shack was the shack.
That was the shack.
On 4th Ave and 7th. I mean, you know.
That was the shack.
Right down the street from White Mountain.
Was that headquarters back then?
That was one of the thoroughways because you got to keep this in mind. 4th Ave, when you come across Florence, 4th Ave is like the main street that goes from Florence all the way down to Slauson. So that was the main street that goes all the way through. That's why 4th Ave was so important. You know what I'm saying? Because that took you through the heart of the hood pretty much.
The Southwest.
At that particular time.
Right.
You know what I mean? The hood was big, but it wasn't as big as it is now. You know what I mean?
See,
and a lot of activity used to come down Florence, 4th Ave. That's a lot of activity was right there. You know?
So
especially Inglewood family.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get into them. Slew, what year were you born?
1956.
And what about your baby brothers?
Face was born in 57, and Julie was born in 59.
Okay. So let me just get this out there, Stone.
Okay.
So after you guys left the Bishops, I just want to get it on record. Who were the big name Crips in the neighborhood at that time before you guys became Rollin 60s? Before that, who were the older Crips?
Odie, rest in peace. Odie Shaw. Perry Manuel. Diego, Lupe. They little crew. That little crew, they was over in Avenue. Billy Ray. Billy Ray ran with Big Snoop brother. Let me think. There's a couple more older cats over there. Sonny.
What Newhouse coming? Patrick.
Newhouse. Clarence. I forgot about him.
What's Patrick said on the corner of Harris and 67? Down the street from Kyle. But I mean, yeah, too many.
So these names that you just listed off, were these older guys socializing with you guys, mingling with you guys, or they were just the older guys in the neighborhood?
Older guys in the neighborhood. Those older kids.
So they had their scene, and you guys had your scene.
We would, because they would come over to Squally's house, or we'd be on 10th Avenue or something. They'd come over there. But, we all knew each other. We lived there. We would go over to Fred's house. This is later on, though.
Okay. So now we're back on Arlington.
Okay.
Who all lived on Arlington in the early 70s?
Ooh, boy, you want me to go through it?
I want the roll call. The early
I mean,
'70s.
who lived on there or who hung out over there?
Both.
Okay. Who lived on there. All of certain people became relevant at different times. But
Early '70s only.
early 70s, it don't matter.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But look, I mean, before you want to name the kids or the future gangbangers or the one that was gangbanging at the time. But over there, you had K-Dog, Mumbles, Big Rick, Doe-Eye, Tyrone. You had all the Springers. It might be 15 in that one house, but you got like a bunch of brothers out of that house. You know what I'm saying? Then you had Doe-Eye. You had Lil No Good. You had Ronnie Pace, Ray Pace, Kid. Both kids. You had Battle Cat, them that really wasn't banging at that time. So it was just a lot of these. Then you had the people like me around the corner from Second Ave, because they come like, Second Ave used to be hot with Mark Bolden them before they went and caught their case, Bucking them, all that. But they didn't really hang out on Arlington. But the ones that hung out on Arlington of Second Ave was just me, Tommy McCoy, briefly. You know what I mean? But Tommy did his shit. You just had a lot of people. You had then I feed C-Dub used to hang over there, Pie Face. It was just a lot of us.
Isn't C-Dub and Big Rick related?
They cousins. They're cousins. They're cousins.
All right, so we're gonna go back to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn this to chill.